Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Quest for the Bestest. It's the podcast from Backlot Banter where we review every single Palme d'Or winning film. Today, we are talking about the 2017 winner, a film by a director we know and love. That would be Rueben Ostlund with the film The Square, part of this whole Shape series. We talked about Triangle of Sadness many times. You could watch one of the 4 or 5 or 6 videos we have published about that film.
About a dozen, I would say, at this point. Feels
400 videos.
So it's like, given that we're in the filmography of Ostlund, I'm excited to talk about this one and hear how it compares, what we think, how it's different, maybe better, maybe worse. Whatever. I don't care what you think. I just want to hear about it. And I just want to hear.
I live in Austin, Texas.
Oh, nice one, brother.
Whoa.
All right. No budding commentary, much like The Square.
Yeah.
Last time, I'll do this quick so we can get to the film. We talked about Padre Padrone, Italian film from the 70s. It was full of some staggeringly interesting topics like childhood and parental abuse and some other things that you'll just have to watch the review to find out about.
Certainly.
But we hemmed and hawed so long about it that it's quite a long video. It got a 4.8. It's at spot number 49 on the list. Today is film number 55 of our Palme d'Or winners. So we'll have The Square somewhere to put on the list. Abram, I did uphold my end of the bargain on the getting the video, but I only did by about 1.5 run times of this here film that we're talking about. So was that close enough to get a comment, or are we technically
a comment now?
Did our BLB promise come true like most of the rest of them have and not actually pan out?
Yeah, amazing. Wow, that's so interesting. We just got a comment on their Padre Padrone review 2 minutes ago.
What?
This is from a first-time Quest commenter. Their channel is called Penguins with Capes. What do they have to say here?
Interesting.
They have to say here on this episode of Padre Padrone, hi everyone, love Quest for the Bestest, a big fan.
Hey.
Today I wanted to take Abram up on his remark, nay, his promise that anyone who leaves a comment of any length will get it read out on the show. Today I wanted to comment about the trailer for the new Star Wars film, The Mandalorian and Grogu.
Of course.
Wow. They got Zeb Aurelius in this one. Better yet, they got Babu Frick and / or his associates. What a time to be alive. I can't wait to watch Mr. Frick and Grogu tool around in various situations together. To wrap
Is
up
Frick the last name? Is Babu and Frick, or is it like
Mr. Babu?
I think it's two words. Babu Frick.
Yeah.
Oh, what you're saying, like, is it
culturally
actually his last name?
Yeah, is it culturally within the Frick culture?
Well, here's the interesting thing
Frick
here.
society.
What is this? What's the thesis of this commenter's remarks?
Well, this
Abram likes
commenter,
Star Wars.
This commenter has one more. No, this is not. This is Penguins with Capes commenting.
Yeah,
Penguins with Capes
heard Tucker.
says, to wrap up this comment, I wanted to share a short excerpt from Wikipedia about Rada the Hutt, the character being voiced by Jeremy Allen White, who will be in the movie, just so everyone is on the same page.
AKA Stinky.
Quote, Rada, nicknamed Pedunky Muffkin, translated as Punky Muffin by his father and also nicknamed quote-unquote Stinky by Ahsoka Tano, was a male Hutt and the son of Jabba the Hutt. During the Clone Wars, he was secretly kidnapped by the Confederacy of Independent Systems, which was orchestrated by Count Dooku with help from Zero, Rada's great
They got
uncle.
Stinky and Dooku? Oh my god.
And Zero.
And Glub Shitto.
The plot was meant to discredit the Jedi Order in scuttle negotiations between the Galactic Republic and the Hutts, but the Jedi were able to rescue him.
The
and
Scuttle
quote,
Hut.
Line break, all caps, The Mandalorian and Grogu comes to theaters, forged for IMAX on May 22nd, 2026. Now, the YouTube studio is telling me I can do an AI response here. It says, I can say this.
Okay,
AI
yeah,
response.
what's the AI? What does AI think we should say to this comment?
Yeah.
I got 2 options. 1, we appreciate the kind words and are glad you like the breakdown of the film. That trailer sounds awesome too. Or this other one, which I like more, we could say, wow, what a comment. Thanks for sharing your thoughts with us and for the Wikipedia knowledge.
Yes, that one.
Yeah, I think
Dude,
that's
the second one for sure.
I think that's great. Perfect. Give it a reply and a creator heart.
Well,
Thank you for commenting Penguins with Capes.
Unbelievably.
In response to that, I will just repeat a tweet that I saw from earlier today, which was forged for IMAX, lit for TV.
Very good. Very good. Dear viewer, we plead to you directly now. Viewers like you support our channel and help us to create this content every day. And we need your comments to keep us going, or else we too will be forced to do actions like they take in this movie of today's review, The Square.
What are you talking
Which
about?
is like steal somebody's phone and wallet.
Sensational,
some
some sensationalism. We're gonna blow up a child. In the middle
Oh,
of-
I see. We gotta get some cartoonish millennial marketing guys in.
Yeah, Timo. If we'd be forced to do that if our videos didn't get any views.
Well, gentlemen, we have never tried uploading blonde beggar child gets blown into pieces. We'll get there all in due time. Abram, you're holding up your phone. You have something to say.
I just got a creator heart.
Oh my god, that's incredible. That's incredible,
Wow,
Abram.
what a coincidence! Interesting timing.
Lucky duck, this guy.
Tanner,
Wow.
get this ball rolling. What is the
Okay.
plot? What happens in Rueben Ostlund's The Square?
Well, Timo, it's funny you ask because I kind of have a feeling this is, we've reviewed some slow and plodding films in our time on this show, especially. But this is perhaps the closest to a plotless film that we've ever discussed, I would say. There is no through line of this happens and then this happens and then this happens. It's really a scattershot of events just happen in the life of our main character, Christian, who is a art museum curator in Sweden. He is basically in charge of curating this new exhibit called, wouldn't you know it, The Square, which is sort of a sociological experiment sort of thing, but he's really trying to drum up interest in it.
Isn't that what art is at the end of the day?
Tucker, that is so goddamn fucking true. But what else? What happens here is that he just by chance going to the museum one day gets mugged or pickpocketed. Essentially, they steal his phone, his wallet, and his cufflinks. And so he has this separate obsession, separate sort of mission of getting these things back. And he prints out a bunch of things and sends them, puts them through the mailboxes of this apartment building that he knows that the robber is in. And at the same time, he gets embroiled in a controversy because this museum is trying to market this square exhibit. And there's also various other events that happen. He gets into sort of a tumultuous sort of hookup romance with Elizabeth Moss's a character who's an American journalist covering the museum. Yeah, and then he loses his job and learns to be with his family, I guess, at the end. We'll talk about it.
Mm-hmm. Indeed, we will talk about it. And who's going to talk about it first? I believe it'll be Abram. What did you think of The Square?
Whoa. So I was remarking to Tucker before we were recording that I find Triangle Sadness to be insufferable. I find The Square to at least be sufferable.
Oh, okay.
Wow, improvement. Great.
Wow.
I do not like this movie very much, but I think I found it less grating than Triangle Sadness. And to be clear to the viewer, these are my two touchstones for Rueben Ostlund. I'm not seeing any of his other work. I think that I have a real hard time sort of involving myself in these Rueben Ostlund films. I feel like they sort of exist on the level of observation. And I don't really find that there's much for me to actually dig into that I find truly provocative about this film. I think that it is obviously very interested in sort of exploring these hypocrisies and this notion of the public square and the way we relate to each other. But I just sort of find this scattershot of of vignettes and relationships to be meandering and not particularly meaningful. And I don't think that for me it ends up really skewering as much as it sort of is lightly poking at a lot of issues, and I don't find it particularly involving, and it didn't leave much of an impression on me.
Instead of cutting up the little bits of chicken and putting them on a metal spike and then putting that on the grill, you're just taking the chicken thigh and putting it on the grill.
Yeah, you gotta flip that guy once, you put the meat thermometer in there and you're done. There's not much to it.
They're all good metaphors. I like these metaphors.
Tanner, you're next. You spoke. I'm picking on you.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of say the same thing. I think the movie's okay. I sort of come at it the same way that I come at Triangle of Sadness, which is it's got some stuff in it. It's got some things in it that I like. Ultimately, I think in retrospect, I'll probably like Triangle of Sadness just a smidge more because of the screen, the actors in Triangle of Sadness. I think they're a little bit more memorable, a little more caricatured, of course, but that maybe works towards Rueben Ostlund's proclivities more than he'd like to admit, in that he doesn't write especially compelling characters. And I think that is true in The Square as well. Christian is, I mean, charitably maybe like an Ostlund stand-in as he tries to like get at like the European highfalutin artist who, you know, says a lot more things about how the wrongs of society and, you know, the inequalities in society than he actually tries to act upon and fix. I think that there are certainly hypocrisies like that being examined in The Square. But I think it also takes far too much of a simplistic view on those things in an effort to make its points, which are pretty shallow.
Tucker, what do you think?
Yeah, I think I agree with Tanner and Abram to a certain degree. I think I found this film decently watchable. I think it's a fine movie.
Yeah.
I think that we're going to get a really good conversation out of it because it does touch on elements of culture and society that we on Quest like to delve into. With there are themes that are presented here that are interesting to discuss and are important to discuss. But I don't think the movie does a particularly great job at discussing them other than mentioning that these conversations exist. The movie seems like it's gearing to be more about social debate, but then it really refuses to elaborate on that. And I think the thing that I found so interesting about it is how tonally similar on a writing level and like a visceral watching level this was to Triangle of Sadness, a movie I've seen many times. And I was like, wow, so Rueben Ostlund's got his bag, because I think this is actually true for all four of us. This is the second Rueben Ostlund movie I'd seen. But the reason why I think I actually liked it significantly less than Triangle of Sadness is because at least that movie was funny. Like it had comedy to it. Like a lot of these uncomfortable scenes were leads to some punchlines or some like reference to an earlier thing that like made you think it was clever in some way, or at least there were these extravagant scenes like
slapstick.
And also it had a more fantastical premise, and and you're right, Tanner, about the variety of characters. I mean, I can list off like 6 or 7 actors of Triangle of Sadness that I think made an excellent performances, and I still remember the characters' names of Abigail and Yaya and Carl and like and I watched this movie last night, can barely remember the main character's name. He's not a particularly interesting guy, and the thing that I found most disappointing is, okay, fine, you're doing a movie about the art scene and about this, ostensibly about this piece of art, this one, the square. But like, the movie's also just like not that concerned with the square. And I'm like, I wish it was more focused. I think that a debate about what this one piece of art and how people interact with it, and maybe have it like, I want to see what that piece does when it's, and how people interact with it once it's like out to the world and stuff. The movie is the square is a centerpiece of it, but it doesn't feel like a strong enough piece of it, because I think the concept of that piece is interesting, but the movie just isn't like super concerned with it. And like it presents these ideas, it doesn't go super deep into them, and at the end of the day, while it has touches of like memorable moments, I don't think there's really enough for me to grab onto, because mostly it's just like a okay, compelling, highfalutin art guy who's kind of stuck on his high horse. Like, it's not like, compare this to Tar, a movie that has a similar position of a main character who's deep in their art world and want to like discuss these like vague concepts, but like
is being canceled like Christian effectively is.
Well, actually, very about over like ostensibly a YouTube short or a TikTok, right? But like Lydia Tarr versus the main character, it's like it's competition. It's night and day. So I think I've seen other movies that do this better. I think Ostlund's work improves in Triangle of Sadness, because including those elements of farce and slapstick, I think enhance some of those themes and make it stand out, rather than feeling just kind of like this is a message movie, but it's not really clear what the message is.
My thoughts, I think my starting place for this is almost devoid of the movie entirely, and is a very metatextual reading of it. And that is, this movie came out in 2017. And we are talking about the movie in 2025. We're not even 10 years away from when this movie came out, and yet the political, social zeitgeist is radically different today, and we can all remember pretty clearly what it felt like
Yeah.
to be in the zeitgeist of 2017. And so this movie actually has a strange period piece quality to it in my mind, because things are so different now. And like, what I feel like I'm 400 fucking years old going on about it like in this way, but this is like something that's very interesting to me, like the kind of political touch points that this film is interested in dealing with are like kind of blown out of the water by what the political discourse is today.
Yes.
And so, yes, I agree with you guys on large parts. I think that the kind of lack of plot and the weirdness of our characters and the insufferable, like I just don't like this character very much. And I find his activities, Christian's character, I find his activities both predictable and just grating to watch. I know what he's going to do, and I don't like that I know what he's going to do, because he's always going to pick the thing that I think is the wrong thing to do, and it just pisses me off. And so where I get to then to the middle of the kind of core of the movie, the center of it.
TSPMO, this square pisses me off.
This square is a real kind of indictment of a kind of a lack of moral center, both of the funders of the arts and the yes, Tucker?
Yeah.
Could it be that Christian himself is a square, and that this movie, the title, is also referring to someone who's kind of annoying?
I don't think but he's not. Yeah,
I'm just fucking.
Yeah, because someone being a square to me means they're like boring and like not, they're a bit of a nerd, a bit of a pushover.
Yeah.
But that is not. I believe that is not what Christian's character is supposed to be. He's supposed to be, or positing himself as a bit of a high society, a local celebrity on the art scene, cutting edge kind of guy.
Yeah, of which I think we're shown he's none of these things. So I see, but I also think Ostlund, here's a quality of the film that I like, and a little thematic area, and I just want to point it out, is that like nobody actually gives two shits about the art. They don't actually care about the artworks. The artworks in the museum are too obtuse or are grating or directly confrontational to the people who are going to look at them. And Ostlund takes time and time again to kind of show us that like people are not actually looking at the art that the curator and the work that we're supposed to believe that makes up kind of the tension of the rest of the movie. That work is ultimately not important, because the things that they're picking to show are uninteresting to the rest of the people. But they need to make the song and dance for the funders. They need to make the song and dance to keep the thing around. They need to have this weird title, X Royal Museum, because they need to fit into this sort of this worldview, the zeitgeist of the time. That's like, well, the Royal Museum is out. We can't be the Royal Museum. We got to be the X Royal Museum. I think that while the
formerly
lack
Twitter
of
Royal Museum,
formerly sure the
Everything Museum,
the Everything Royals. The film posits and throws a lot of stuff at me that I find interesting, but then I also am kind of bored and think it goes on too long. I think you could probably cut an hour out of this movie without really like altering too much of the plot, so to speak. Maybe just by shortening some of these scenes. And so yeah, it's middling. I think I'll sit with Abram. It's sufferable. It's like the Triangle of Sadness like kind of angers me, and this one just kind of like, I'm like, oh man, those were the days. It's got me feeling nostalgic for a time period that wasn't even all that long ago.
Timo, just to that point, I do have to agree with you, because I think it's a very good observation. It's something that I actively had to shift my mind into while watching this, because it's being like politically incisive, but for a period that, yes, feels like it's 50 years ago. So I was like, okay, I am not, because I was getting like annoyed with it. I was like, okay, maybe I just need to shift my mind out of like 2025 and back to the far off days of 2017, where there was like an internet monoculture, and like people got mad about these things, and people talked about things in these ways, not in the ways that they do now. Yeah,
this kind of, well, I guess we've gone on for a bunch we should follow
Mhm.
our own schedule here. Tucker.
Yeah.
It is my duty to ask you to have us begin with the topic area. Out of everything that we've said, something interests you particularly that you want to direct us to talk about?
Yeah, I like what you posited about people not caring about the art in this movie. And that actually does go to an interesting point of the fact that I said that this movie doesn't seem particularly interested with what the square and what the square means.
Mhm.
Maybe there's something about that. Maybe that the script not being super about that is a reflection on the fact that the
Well,
general people of
Yeah.
How many
It's-
layers of
it's an iffy
abstraction
thing.
can your criticism? I mean, yeah, it's
Yeah. I don't know, but the interesting thing is that what this movie posits is that these things that are being presented as high works of art that are intended to be like morally, thematically challenging, intellectually challenging. You're supposed to project your past and your thoughts on culture and society onto these things that are abstract, and whether it's square, whether it's these rock piles, or the video of the guy like hooting like a monkey, or leave your keys on the ground, or pick if you
Mhm.
trust people or don't trust people. But I kept I kept thinking as I was watching this movie that, frankly, none of these things that were presented would challenge me intellectually, would
Mm.
push me to engage with them intellectually, especially the do you trust people or not one. I thought that one was really interesting because I was looking at it and I was like, is it possible to engage with this thing in a museum with these buttons
Mhm.
and engage with it honestly,
No, I mean, I
intellectually
think
honestly?
the
Because
joke is,
either
I
you're
think,
like,
the numbers up on the wall is the joke
Yeah.
that Ostlund's playing into.
because it's either you say you trust people and that like gets you kind of like either it's true or like gets you social points or whatever of like
Mm.
I trust people, or you're probably just gonna be joking if you pick the other one. Like I don't know. I was just thinking about that. We can get deeper
Yeah.
if you want. But my point with each of these art pieces that are shown briefly in this movie, they're not shown a ton in this movie, is that people don't engage with them very much. In fact, the his daughters engaging with the art is a very passing thing. They're just there for one thing that seemed
You
the
brought them there,
exhibits aren't
yeah.
even open yet. But the one thing that does engage people is this video, is this advertisement
Mhm.
that in the world of this film, and I think also probably to our world, to our current reality, people would not call art. But that is the thing that got people the most engaged, the most thinking
Mhm.
about what is right or wrong. And so for what the movie presents, I think within the scope of the film, it doesn't talk enough about the conversations around these art pieces that was hoping for, but it did help me to think about what we consider art, what challenges us as people, as members of society, and the reality is that it is these aggressive, social, viral elements of our culture, and this is very true today, that are the things that spark the most conversation.
Mhm.
This video, the idea of a homeless girl getting blown up on the street, no one would. I mean, there's 1,000 of those something similar posted in just every day on the internet now. And
And they don't even have to hire a
VFX.
VFX company to make the explosion. You just have freaking AI do the whole dang thing.
That's true.
Mhm.
Yeah, but so what do you guys think about that? Like, what the art presented in this film, and what is actually provocative
Mhm.
to culture and to conversation?
Abram, do you want to go? You look like you want
yeah.
to go. Go for it.
I mean, part of why I find this movie annoying is that this is like not a new, like there's nothing interesting about this premise in my view, because the film is very much interested in, I think, a lot of sort of like evergreen questions around particularly modern art, and the film goes to great lengths at two different intervals, both in the sort of opening vignette. The film sort of opens with a slightly detached but relevant vignette, the same way Triangle does. And then again, when we have this, I believe, Hungarian artist who's giving a talk about his work, there's this idea of taking objects and putting them in museum contexts and sort of trying to unpick how that context changes the meaning and provokes a response. This stuff is like first year of undergraduate art program discussion, and I find it to be not particularly incisive on behalf of the
Well,
film.
Coincidentally, that I'm in my first year of art school.
Well, there we go. Because I think my problem is I don't think that dimension of the film has anything particularly revelatory to say. I think where I'm more interested is in the other thing that this opening vignette offers, which is this answer from Christian to Elizabeth Moss' character, and about the biggest challenge that is faced by the institution, and that's funding. He specifically turns it into a monetary consideration. And throughout the whole film, these sort of more evergreen, intellectualized, philosophized questions about the relationship between an object, a museum space, the field of modern art is sort of complicated by this specific interest the film has in mentioning that the square is not a provocative piece of work. That's the whole premise of our two young guys who come into the marketing. So they're trying to spin up something that's more provocative, more sensationalized, that can sell this. And so I think that I understand in part that the premise is sort of treated even as wrote by the film to attack this idea of the sensational being essential. But I just find it all to be a little bit shallow. I find it all to be a little bit regurgitory of a lot of conversations people have had about modern art forever.
Yeah, that's my thing. Is that, and here's my hot take. And Rueben Ostlund, I'm fucking calling you out, buddy.
I'm gonna come for I'm gonna hit you with an even hotter take afterwards, but spit, and then I'll go.
Rueben, like how he treats not the artists, sure, like he's skewering them. He got him. He got him that these super rich art dealers or whatever. Hey, they're a little vapid, if you can believe it. But I'll also just go so far as to say I don't think Rueben Ostlund he cares about modern art either. Like I think he takes a very dismissive view of that whole like school of artistic thought, just in the way that like he treats the people surrounding it and the pieces themselves, and we never really see an artist in the movie. You have Dominic West who plays an artist, but which piece is his? Do we know?
I think it's the gravel piles.
Okay,
That's my best guess. I don't have a lot of evidence for that though.
But even the gravel piles specifically are a punchline to a joke about how like the janitor like keeps cleaning them up or whatever, and how you can just dump it back onto the ground out of a trash bag and no one will know the difference. Like he is taking these very same like, oh, modern art's so stupid I could do that, and these guys are getting $5 million for some red paint splashed on a canvas. Like he's taking these very same attitudes, I feel, towards it, and just obfuscating it as, his high tower of a quote-unquote provocateur, which is, having now watched 2 of his films and no longer being really able to give him the benefit of the doubt, becoming more and more annoying to me of this guy who's like, oh, aren't I just a stinker? Aren't I just a little guy up here being like, isn't this whole society we have going on so quaint and so silly?
Isn't it a wee bit fucked up, maybe?
What's your hotter take, Timo? That's a pretty hot take.
That's a pretty hot take. My hot take is that, I don't even really like some of this modern art that is so-called good, I was at the Museum of Modern Art with some friends the other day and saw, they have a bunch of Pollock in there. And I am a noted Jackson Pollock hater. Because he's literally just drizzling that shit on
I know that some people
canvas,
are Pollock haters,
and was invented for statecraft reasons, not for art reasons. And so this is it. That's pretty much the end of my hot take. But I think that the scathing critique of modern art rings to me in the sense that the art itself isn't pushing a lot of boundaries, and through lack of resonating with any of its audiences, isn't doing very much. That it doing much in what we all know and love art to do, make us think and question and whatnot, which, as you guys have correctly pointed out, the video does. But I do think, and I will note that there are other pieces of art, I think, that happen in this film that are these kind of like social base, and that's the moment with Oleg in the donors reception. But then also when Dominic West's character, the Julian artist, and an interviewer, a woman from the museum, are having a conversation on stage, and there's a man with Tourette's in the audience interrupting their conversation. And so both of these elements, I think, both of these scenes deal with like performance, but also the kind of forcing people into watching, whether it's watching, or listening to a man who has uncontrollable outbursts, and then the kind of tension that arises out of, well, we can't do anything about that. We have to, we have to be accepting, and this is, well, we just have to keep going through it. And then the other people in the room are like, well, this is clearly disturbing us in a way that makes us so we can't keep going. But then with the performance by the actor Oleg, who is so like, clearly I think the best performance in the film, goes ahead, and the whole point of this thing is to be like, you cannot look away. You are part of the art. If you run, you're gonna get chased. If you sit in complete silence, you're gonna get messed with for reasons of of this animal nature that I think are revealing this kind of bullying, this harassment, this sexual based, and also and kind of male hierarchically based. Those moments of art in the film, I think, stand at kind of in opposition to the art that is more in placement or within the museum, and wherein you can like look away. I think a big part of the thesis is why we see so much footage of all the beggars, and why the beggar storyline of both the PR video, but then we have to see the reality of how these people actually like interact with beggars, is that when you can look away, like most people are gonna look away. And when you can sit there in complete silence and hopefully blend in with the herd, you're gonna blend in with the herd. And that is is it a skewering of highfalutin rich society? No, I think it's an obvious point, but I think that at least in this, like with the Monkey Man scene, that construction of this point is pretty creative.
I mean, I think that's pretty unquestionably the strongest scene in the film. I mean, I don't think it's a hot take at all.
It's on the poster.
It's on the poster. It's not a hot take for any of us to say that, because it's basically the scene, the thing from this movie that has endured, I feel. I just want to point out. I just want to point out, because Tucker sort of brought us to this point by bringing up the video. It was like the only like out loud laugh that I got
Like watching the video.
Not watching the video, not watching it. It's when good old Pauline from YouTube Sweden called in, and she's like, "Yeah, you guys got 350,000 views on your video. Blonde beggar child gets blown into pieces." When
that's funny.
That subtitle came up, that's when I got the laugh out of me. Credit to Ostlund. That is a really funny title for that video to use in your movie.
My one laugh out loud is when Christian is staring in the mirror in the bathroom saying, "I'm not going to sleep with her," and then it cuts to him looking like this in the doorway. There's a couple good editing cuts, but I think that there is this disjunction in the film for me between this sort of interest in modern art, high museum society culture, which I think is largely uninteresting and not particularly revelatory, and then this point about the public square, because I would actually disagree that the movie is not about this piece of art. I would say that it's basically entirely about it, because the piece of art itself, the square, is just a concept.
The movie is the square, man. The world is the square.
The part of the problem I have with
real
this,
square was the friends made along the way.
Yeah, I mean, part of the problem I have with this is that the premise of the piece of art is not particularly concealed in any way, nor is it particularly ornate. It simply is the philosophical idea of a public square. And so you don't really need to directly engage with the piece of art on the ground so much as you need to construct a series of vignettes that have opportunities to illustrate how people interact with each other, and when they choose to adhere to or break the social contract, and for what reasons. And I think that I just don't find that to be particularly rich, because to your point, Timo, there are some moments when I find it to be very effective. I really did enjoy the scene with the man with Tourette's, and I really did enjoy the man who's doing the animalistic performance. But I think that those rise to the surface because so many other moments don't do much for me. I think about, and I'm really curious for your guys' take on this scene in particular, when Christian goes into the 7-Eleven to hopefully find his wallet and his phone there. But he doesn't. But he encounters this woman who is homeless and asks him for food. And she has a little bit of an attitude. Like, she's got like a specific request, to which Christian is like annoyed. And I think that to me, the subtext of that scene is that, you know, he wanted to do a nice thing, but he didn't want to have to really engage with this woman. He didn't want to have to take...
The subtext is he wanted the woman to be grateful. That is the case with all scenarios like this, is that ultimately he is obfuscating it, being like, I'm doing this out of the kindness of my heart, but what he really wants is the social points. He wants the boost to the ego. Was like, I bought this homeless woman a sandwich. Aren't I just the best guy around? Boy, I am so smart for telling people about the square idea, because I'm living it, baby.
But see, this is part of my problem, and this is an issue I have with Triangle Sadness as well, is I feel like Ostlund is just interested in these like sweeping indictments of everybody. Because that woman doesn't come off well in that scene. And so I'm not...
Like,
And I find this like... I don't think that the film, in my view, takes up a subjective lens to where it would rightfully cast this woman as being annoying. Because we're not in Christian's headspace, I would argue, for most of the film. And so I just find it very strange how he constructs her character. I find it very strange how, as soon as Christian does have cash, when he's back later at the 7-Eleven, then he gives her the cash. He gives Christian an out at times, and he makes this woman look poor. And so who is being skewered? Or is it Rueben Ostlund, again, as you're saying, Tanner, being a silly little guy being up above everybody? Because I don't think that sort of like navel-gazing attitude is that insightful to me. I really don't like the way that this scene unfolds.
Yeah. And what pisses me off a lot is how Christian just like, well, to me, that there is this kind of practicing what you profess thematic line regarding about the square, that like in the ideal world, the square extends infinitely around the earth, right? That like we all have the same rights and obligations because we're all people and humans. But then we see that like Christian is, I fundamentally, like, I doesn't believe that. I think like he doesn't want to. He wants to engage with this as an artistic and as an intellectual idea, and then when it comes, you know, time to be in practice, time to you know, say sorry to the kid when he is like, like he already got his phone back. He actually already got his phone, and he already got his wallet back, and he won't say sorry to this kid, and he kills him. He kills the kid eventually, and is like, so I was talking about with
really.
Well, yeah, I think it's not said so, but I think it's pretty. It's implied that he either killed the kid or caused such problems that the kid was completely forced out.
The family moved away. That neighbor says that the family moved. If we understand the family that he's talking about to be the same family.
But did they move, or did something like, you know, that is an unreliable source of fact.
Yeah.
All we know is that something has happened, and all we know is that the kid fell down the stairs and that he left the kid there for hours. Like, we're supposed to? Those are the things we know.
Then like a week later, or like months later, he goes back to the thing to the kid they killed. I think you're off base on this one.
Well, he's looking. He's the fact that he's unable to find the kid and unable to actually, once he's maybe had a little bit of a turn of heart and kind of found some morals. The fact that the kid is gone and then the movie ends, like this is the final note for the film, I think places him as at fault to if maybe the kid is killed, maybe the kid is not killed. Whatever happens that made that the kid and the family were removed from the community and are removed from the society that Christian lives in, Stockholm, Sweden. That it's his fault. That if he were to have earlier in the film done what he said, Art told everybody that they should do, that we trust an obligation and the human rights, yada yada yada. That then his reaction to the kid's kind of justified reaction to being called a thief and being put in this place by his parents, that horrible outcome would have never really happened.
I didn't pick up on any of that, but
I mean, this raises, I think, a just sort of a ideological difference I have with the film that I think is handled poorly. The film goes to great lengths to illustrate this like very individualized idea of how people ought to interact in a social setting. And that in some ways the onus is on the individual to help the beggar. And I understand that that Ostlund is trying to make this point about being a bystander and about the way that we slip into those behaviors. But I would argue, and I think we all would argue, that there is a institutional, a societal impetus to provide for people who are homeless and need support. And the film, I think, only by half, in a way that I don't think is satisfying, addresses an institutional issue. Because we have this idea of these two apartment complexes. And this is very critical. We have this apartment complex where we know via GPS Christian's phone ended up, and then we have this very high society, lavish apartment building where Christian actually lives. And when he finally does make a phone call to the father of the child, or to the child he wanted to show to the child's father, he's talking about being afraid of the type of person who would live in that type of house.
He was afraid to go in there because he was afraid of the type of people that lived there. And, we even kind of see this when he and the guy that he goes there with, whose name is
Michael?
Yes, thank you, Michael. When Michael like stays in the Tesla, and he's like really scared of these guys that approach him and like ask him to like drive the car around because they've never seen one or whatever. Like Ostlund purposefully keeps the camera on Michael's face as he's like clearly uncomfortable, and even Christian in the building is like he like wants to like hide his identity, so he puts on Michael's jacket and is like rushing around. And I mean, even the filmmaking, the production design, the set design or whatever is like the hallway has these lights that turn on one at a time that like really makes it very scary for Christian.
There's this construction that I think is very important that you're pointing to of class difference, and that being something that Christian is aware of, and it comes out in a very bigoted way. But the film is trying to, in some way, address that there is this class disparity that Christian recognizes, and he tries to navigate. And again, I think that that's some of the more salient commentary we're in this. About as high society person as you could construct is forced to involve himself in with these communities that he thinks are below him. I think that that's like an interesting starting point, but I think that necessitates more than just making you point and laugh and dislike Christian. I think making you dislike Christian is fine and intentional and a good choice on behalf of the script.
Very provocative to make an unlikable protagonist. I mean, where did Ostlund come up with this idea?
But then my problem is that he's tackling things that are not intrinsically or solely interpersonal issues. He's talking about much wider societal, class-related issues, and he has no interest, in my view, in this film to have any kind of class or social-based solutions, or even doesn't even really make a great case for an interpersonal answer. It's not, again, this is observational. I don't think it has any conclusion.
It doesn't
or
even
any
arrive at what may be the most milquetoast answer you could come up with, which is that we all just need to be a little bit nicer to each other, Like it doesn't posit that even. I mean, My
Though also,
explanation.
if this movie ended on that thing, we would be like, isn't that just the easiest solution that you could have at the end?
Oh yeah. Well,
I don't know if there is, frankly, a good way to handle this kind of thing. Like, I don't know if there's a movie that covers this kind of topic in a way that is fully satisfying, frankly. Because I think that any way you slice it, it will feel like it's not covering a certain area because it's not. But
there's a movie in my mind that covers it all.
I have one too.
Which is
Man with a Movie
Daniel
Camera by
Blake.
Dziga Vertov.
Oh, sure. Yeah, that's an interesting one.
And which
Well,
one,
I
Abram,
said-
what did you say?
I said Daniel Blake, which is relevant
sure.
to this show
Yeah.
because that's a film that's
Yeah, that's a
very
good one.
interested in these interpersonal relationships at the heart of the struggle of poverty and
Yeah, yeah,
homelessness.
true. No, that's fair
But
enough.
it is still interested in at least having something to say, and I think that's an exceptional film. But it is interested in this larger social scaffolding of what is the larger set of material conditions
Yeah,
that
I
led
mean,
these
that-
people to this situation.
And the movie's all about the institutions and the roadblocks that exist for people to try and get assistance and so on. I think it's, Abram, you bring up a good point. It's very notable that there's like I mean, in a film that is about like this guy getting robbed, like that is the inciting incident, there's no like police involved or anything like that. Like anything that is even waving any notions at the institutions that exist that effectively are pillars of society. Like
The closest we get is they talk about the board. But we never actually see the board,
yeah.
which is interesting. I want to respond to something that Abram was saying earlier. The idea that the movie succeeds in being about the square, the art piece, because it's about textually the public square, and that's actually like that's like all the conversations that people are having. I think that is fair, but I would posit that that's all movies. I don't think that is enough. Like, I don't think that that's enough of a justification for me for it to not utilize what is unique about this film, which is specifically the art pieces and the art world that it's covering. I think the fact that because it's not as much about the literal the square and what impact that has on people, then you have to extrapolate, and I think fairly so, but for me unsatisfyingly so, that actually it's textually about the square because it's everything else. I'm like, well, all movies are about a situation in which people interact and are pushed into these situations that may be hypocritical in some way. And so I wish that the movie, for me, what makes it distinct is the fact that it is about these works of art and whether or not they are engaging. But the movie then spiders out into so many different things that I think it loses focus of why this particular narrative is compelling, or at least what is to me and would have been more to me if it focused in a little bit tighter on that specific work of art and the journey of it and the impact that it has on people. Because instead, and something that we've all mentioned, I think is a detriment to the experience of watching this film, is it's a set of interweaving plot lines around this one guy who's not particularly interesting. And so you get all of these different storylines that are like reasonable to be within one guy's life, but they don't all feel related to the square. And so the movie actually ends up feeling kind of aimless, as we've said, and kind of plotless. Where I think if it was more focused specifically on this work of art, I think it would have to me feel like it was standing out a little bit more, and also didn't have this sort of too broad effect that the movie ends up
Rueben
having.
Ostlund should have followed in the steps of a true auteur, Peyton Reed, and made the film Yes Man, where Christian had
That's actually a pretty good movie.
Christian had to put his money where his mouth is and like agree to do anything or agree to help anyone that was like in the square a little bit.
Yeah,
Or
that
maybe
like
the
I would
conflict arises
love
from
a,
his
like-
refusing to do so.
I would love this exact thing, but it was like literally whatever's inside the square people have to do. And like, I mean, look, I'm too SCP pilled. I'm too I like these things where like a little bit of fantasy is injected into it. Like, and obviously the movie was never going to be that, but like that's what got my mind running. It's like, okay, we have this little bit of fantasy to it. And it's about this piece. Like, culturally, how would that impact things? Like my mind starts racing when
not
something
even
like that.
SCP, Tucker. You can go probably who Ostlund fancies himself to be the modern version of Louis Buñuel.
I was about to say the Exterminating Angel.
Yeah.
The Exterminating Angel is actually such a better version of
Absolutely,
this
it is. I mean, and yeah, I mean, I think I even mentioned that on the Triangle of Sadness episode. I think I already made this comparison that Ostlund probably feels that he is the modern truth teller in a way that Buñuel was back in the.
Is Triangle his L'Age d'Or or something like that?
I don't know. I wanted to bring up. Should we talk about some specific scenes or some specific relationships and things like that?
Let's.
Yeah, you want to talk 8-Man? You want to talk Elizabeth Moss? I mean, those are kind of just technically related in a certain way. But I kind of want to talk about the Elizabeth Moss character.
Yeah, I do too.
Notable that she is the American character in this film. Underutilized. Exactly. Underutilized, I will say. I didn't find her to be a particularly compelling screen presence, especially in the way that Ostlund pitches her, which is just that she is weirdly obsessed with having a relationship with Christian, which can bear out and does bear out into a kind of humorous scene where like they have the condom like stretched like 3 feet long or whatever, as
and
he is convinced that she is going to like
gonna,
steal his sperm and impregnate herself with it, which like in that scene, obviously Elizabeth Moss is definitely playing that, and Ostlund has her play that like this is definitely what I want you to pretend that you're going to do.
Dude, when she scurries away with the trash can, I was like,
yeah,
uh-oh. Because then you hard cut to like his kids coming home.
Yeah, exactly. But then obviously that never comes up again. And so you're like, okay, it was an anxiety of Christians that this was going to happen, and it never does. The only other time that we see her is this sequence where she comes in and is like, I want to have a relationship with you. Did our sex mean nothing to you, etc., etc. And then
in front of one moment, so to just briefly bring it back to like the art and its place within the film, this conversation that you're talking about, Tanner, happens in front of this installation of a bunch of like school chairs all stacked on top of each other, that then the artwork simulates them with a huge crashing loud noise. It makes like creaking noises until the whole thing falls over, and invariably the two characters are it's just the sound effects. We see that it doesn't actually fall over, but these people just stand there having this intense conversation, and the only reason that they even acknowledge that this artwork exists is because it interrupts their conversation about their relationships. They could not give a shit that this art is in the room. And so then Ostlund is I think doing his modern art dumb kind of take with this like, oh, this thing only serves the purpose to be a nuisance for these people in the room. But continue on this conversation. That was my 2 cents about the artwork
I
in the
mean,
background.
but she doesn't pop into the film at all after that. Am I wrong?
No, I don't think you're wrong.
Yeah, it's just a very strange.
She's not at the press conference later. Like
it's a very strange utilization of this character that just seems to effectively go nowhere.
It ends with this note in which she's like, "You don't remember my name."
We do see her one more time, actually. I forgot. Where she's trying to call Christian in her apartment, and her chimp is there, which is what I was alluding to. She has a pet chimp.
Yeah.
Yep.
Never explored.
We all need one of those, I think.
We do need one of those.
Right here.
Yeah, sure.
I do find it is kind of like another one of these points where I think I very much agree with what Abram is saying, where it's like, okay, Ostlund, I see the words you've put down on the page, that like this Christian guy is just like, he actually can't remember Anne's name right now. He can't do it because she points out the fact that he would just do it if he could.
I get
because
it.
He's an asshole. And it's like, so it's just yet another one of these moments in the movie where it's like, okay, like point taken. I get it.
Yeah.
I get it. This is awkward.
That scene goes on for a long
painful.
time, which is another Ostlund thing, as of the two movies we've seen, where he likes to draw a sequence out. That is what makes this movie as long as it is, because a lot of these scenes are cyclical. They're circular. They're about the repetition and people unwilling to take blame and that's something we saw in Triangle of Sadness as well. And
That's like a
the
core
main reason why
feature of the Ostlund character is that
Yeah.
they love throwing blame around and they'll never take it themselves.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
The reason I was disappointed by the overall Elizabeth Moss character storyline is because she feels like the only other character that has some sort of meaningful role in the film in terms of challenging him in that moment, making him uncomfortable.
Mhm.
Like you kind of understand a little bit more of like what's going through her mind as she's like approaching these different conversations. But like it's not even like that
No.
deep. It's not that fleshed out. And no one else in the movie I would give even that level of sophistication in the
Because
writing to,
she-
which is
Ostlund boils her down to like the overly what's what I'm looking for.
It's like a
like-
trope, right? It's kind of a
Yeah,
trope character.
It's she's like overly connected or like clingy. That's what I was like. She's like
Yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
overly clingy hookup that like, oh, this lady won't. She keeps calling me. I had sex with her once. Can you believe this, fellas? Like that is what he boils her down to. And like,
yeah.
Christian sucks, but like she's also not a likable character. So it is a little bit of the looking down on everyone once again.
Yeah, but to that point of her, I think being a very stereotypical character, but being the only other character I would consider somewhat meaningful in the film is mostly an indictment on the rest of the supporting cast, who I think are very weak. And again, another place where I have to give props, and I think we probably all would, Triangle of Sadness, a movie that has a great ensemble
Laundry
cast,
list
full of characters that
Mhm.
are interesting and have fleshed out personalities. And I mean, they're not likable, but like you understand them as
They're
people.
more
and
entertaining to watch than Christian and
Entertaining.
Anne or Christian and Michael or whoever.
Or Christian and the
reason
weird
why-
boss lady that doesn't say anything and just freaks him out the entire time they're in a room
Yeah,
together.
yeah.
The reason why I think that Triangle works so much better in this context of an Ostlund writing film than this one does is because I think you need to have a variety of perspectives on society that are well fleshed out and thought through in order for a film to feel like it is accurately displaying or exploring the variety of perspectives that are in society. If this movie is supposed to be about the public square and people taking different perspectives and things about that, you got to have more than just one character who I think is fine but not particularly strong. You got to have more than just one that is important in the script, that is fleshed out, that has an interesting personality, that like I think an ensemble cast just mirrors the intent a lot stronger of something that is supposed to be about the breadth of society.
Sure.
This movie is like playing both sides in an awkward way.
I will say that I think I mentioned this earlier, that I think Ostlund, to his credit, is maybe even trying to skewer himself a little bit, which goes against what I know what we're saying of like the man in the high tower kind of thing that he's got going on. But like, I feel like that Christian is definitely supposed to be him to a certain extent. I even did a little bit of perusing just to see if he had a of his Wikipedia page to see if he had any art background. He doesn't, but I did notice that he has two daughters, which Christian does in this film, and they have the Christian and Rueben Ostlund have similar hairstyles and things like that. I think there's perhaps something to it, especially as at the end of the film, he is continually questioned and probed about like the art that he is making and why he is making it and what it is saying. I think that he, at least on some level, relates to Christian in that way. That he is like, this guy is a spokesperson for art that is not his, which is the departure from being a film director, but regardless.
On the daughter's note, I actually think it's quite hilarious that the sport that they do is like American cheer.
Yes.
And it's just kind of a blast from the past to see that, because boy, God, did I hear that cheer song. That you know how that music track that they perform to sounds?
Mm-hmm. Like the guy,
every single those are all like here's the crazy, every single one of those is like custom made for each school, and they're full of like anime sound effects and vine booms and like crazy. It's just like,
well, this one I especially liked because it has
so-
the classic European guy doing an American voice in it. He's like, "All right, guys, here we go. It's time for the Bobcats." I love,
and they're the
love that
Bobcats,
voice.
like
It's just like another Peyton Reed movie.
Yeah,
Bring it on.
bring it on.
So
How can we reference the Ant-Man trilogy?
Oh boy. All right.
So I don't know what it means that that's
yeah.
included. I don't know what it means that that's just like a really American thing that these Swedish girls are doing. I don't really know. It's in the movie.
Yeah. Abram, do you have anything to say about Elizabeth Moss, or should we move on to Ape Man?
Well, I don't know. I think part of the trouble I have with this film is I'm unsure about what all of these different relationships we see Christian involved in add up to. Because this relationship with Elizabeth Moss' character shows him at his most intimate, and it's sort of
I mean, I would argue that that scene is the opposite of intimate.
I mean in a literal way.
Sure.
Traditionally, intimate.
There's this sort of behind. What I don't get is it's this performance, obviously, in this hookup that he has, and it's this for him, this sort of, at least if we are to believe this sort of chest puffing posturing when he speaks with her in the museum, that it is this sort of conquest for him, and it is this kind of triumph.
But I almost don't believe that.
Yeah,
like it seems like he starts to put on that as she mentions it. She's like, "Oh, fine. Oh, yeah. I guess I am a conquistador."
He is alone in that sequence where he says he don't sleep with her, don't sleep with her, don't sleep. Like he is not performing that for anybody. But then you rewind it even a little bit further, and it's that scene where he's playing like the little piano, and he's got that woman on his lap, and he like looks at
office.
her. As he clearly is trying to like impress her, but as she walks away, he's like, "Ah, damn, I didn't get to sleep with her because of my sweet piano skills."
There's this moment when he and Michael arrive to distribute the flyers looking for the thief, when he invokes the fact that he Christian is a semi-public figure.
Yeah.
And people might recognize him, to which Michael says, well, people around here, again to our earlier conversation, won't recognize you. There's this like feeling when we see Christian get cornered in these two situations. Once in the car with Michael, once in this conversation in the exhibit with Anne, that he sort of invokes his power or status as like a defensive maneuver. And I guess I just don't really know what to take away from that. And I think that's partially because I'm so lost in the literal ape in Anne's apartment.
Yes.
Yes. I'm so lost in what we're trying to demonstrate by having this literal animal character be sequestered in Anne's apartment, but to show these signs of intelligence, to have him be doing artwork, and then to have this very ape-like man do in public this performance of the ape character, and his is so much less refined in a way than actual ape's behavior.
The actual chimp is, it's quite docile. It just colors or whatever.
Yeah, that actual chimp would like pick up some Lindt chocolates and eat them, maybe.
Yeah, you're right. The human projection of the animal is far more easily provoked, which I guess is a little bit of, perhaps it's Ostlund saying like, this guy is taking an opportunity because of his performance, because of the art that he is putting on, to break social norms, even going so far as to near or assault a woman before he has to be like beaten away by these dinner guests or whatever.
They say, let's kill him. And then the camera moves into the perspective of the artist on the ground as like 20 guys are like beating the shit out of him.
Yeah.
We don't actually know what happens. I don't think it's actually relevant what happens. But I don't really know what all of these behaviors and these relationships are supposed to demonstrate, other than everybody is like a little bit like off kilter. Like I don't understand what's being exposed. I guess I don't understand what Anne exposes. I don't understand what the monkey exposes.
I think the ultimate point, and Abram, I do want to commend you because I was going to use this term at some point, but you brought it up a while ago. The social contract is a Twitter buzzword that I've been seeing a lot over the last couple of months. So I was so ready to invoke it here because Ostlund is very much poking at that idea in this. Is like
he's a signatory to the social contract.
Certainly he is. He is poking at that. He's like, what is the social contract, and what are the ways that we are supposed to behave in public? And I think he points to that a number of times where he's like, the social contract effectively reads that like you don't look at homeless people on the street and you ignore people with clipboards on the street. And the guy with the Tourette's is someone who is inadvertently or uncontrollably like fracturing that social contract, and everyone is very on edge and annoyed with him, and there's people who like laugh at him, but there's a guy who tries to restore it by saying he can't control doing that. I think there are all of these instances are about people like pushing up against it or adhering to it too closely in a scenario that should be broken. Like it's really at the core of the square.
I mean, you could even, I guess, through that lens, although this is like a very gendered idea, and we mentioned it before, take it back to Anne and Christian. You know, he has in some way broken the social contract by not speaking with Anne after their hookup and forcing her to come find him, which again, as we mentioned, trades on this very stereotypical appraisal that women look at sex as this very emotional act and men see it as a conquest.
They're all connected to me now. I can't believe it. I guess I had sex too good.
And I guess, because I think you're right, Tanner, I think that the best way to sort of organize all of these scenes is to organize them as illustrations of when the social contract breaks down. But I guess what that makes me wonder then is what is the takeaway about the social contract's existence to begin with?
It's there.
It's there,
Yeah.
man.
It's there.
Again, observational. It's very observational
It's
to me.
very, very much so. I just want to shout out because we talked about it a little bit. I gotta shout out the performance of Terry Notary as Oleg, the ape performance artist. I don't know if you guys take a look at his Letterboxd page, but he's in of the Planet of the Ape movies. He plays Kong in Kong Skull Island. He is like
he's like the monkey performer.
If you're not getting Andy Serkis, you're getting Terry Notary, basically. Literally, he is Caesar's second in command guy in the Planet of the Apes movies. He's Rocket, of course, that classic character that we all remember from that trilogy. But yeah, he's Kong. For the MCU heads out there, he is Cole Obsidian in Infinity War and Endgame.
Sure.
So yeah, he has all this VFX work, and you're watching this, and it's like, damn, this guy's really good at pretending to be a chimp. Which at this point he's got years of practice. This is the same year that War for the Planet of the Apes came out. So
got them chimp things. He goes so hard that one of the little like pads or
the
whatever
things comes off. Yeah,
it breaks or like I noticed that. I was like,
yeah.
Oh,
I mean,
dang.
To you guys, I mean, I guess it's a bit of maybe a futile effort to be like, what's the point of any scene in this movie? But as the centerpiece of the film, I would argue, what to you is the goal, the end result of this sequence that has no like further ramifications after the film, after it ends? It is packed with all of these rich people who are basically shunned into a silence where they're all just looking down at their laps at this guy, like knocking stuff over and harassing people. What to you is the end result of this scene?
Well, first I struggle to come up with the end result of the scene. I think that it has something to do with there's like the two super rich donors.
Yes.
That basically have like dedicated handlers that are kind of always looking at them, always like, praising their reaction, but they're not targeted.
No.
Is it? How exactly does that opening kind of narration go, where it's like you can look, you can be still, you can not move a muscle, you can be part of the
Be
herd,
part of the herd.
you can be prey and be chased, but and so then the fact that it's the artist that we see, maybe I don't know. Here it is. I've thought through it.
Okay, here we go.
That Dominic West's character is,
Mhm.
if we're going to take from his point of view, he's picked on in both circumstances that we see him. During his talk, he's not really able to like talk about his art and what it means. And in this scene, he is basically like alpha male pushed out of the, he's harassed to the point that he doesn't want to be in the room anymore, and he runs away. And so we've now taken the only actual artist in the whole movie, the only one that we actually like see to exist. We can assume the other one does, but that this guy is like, he's unrepresented. He doesn't get to speak. When he's at this big giant banquet, he gets away and he runs away. And so it goes to this not yet another observational point that nobody actually cares about the art in this movie. That the art and the artists themselves take second place to the discourse and the reception and the all the kind of meta society extra surrounding elements to the art are what, at least for this modern art, is actually what matters, and that the artists themselves and the actual work, we can take it or we can leave it.
Well, the thing that I'll tie it back to is that I think this is an interesting middle ground between the sort of general social but not particularly provocative art pieces that we see at this museum that not people are kind of uninterested in, and they don't see very much of. It's a middle point between those and the video that gets wider society very up in arms and engaged and discussing, because this performance, this live art experience, the intention of it is framed as something that is socially challenging, and it is one of these art pieces that someone who's thinking about culture and art on a higher level is able to present to challenge people. Like, the intention is for the leave your keys on the ground and here are the rock piles on the ground. These are all intended as things that are going to challenge you in some way. But the only one that we see actually does is aggressive, is violent, is
it goes,
harassment,
goes
ostensibly.
Too far is kind of the thing.
Exactly.
Can you walk the line of getting something that really truly needles you, really truly like disturbs you and provokes you without crossing the line that we lay down? That's like, but no, you can't like really go too far, because that's harassment, that's bad, and it is met with an angry mob beating you to death, essentially.
Yeah,
angry mob sounds a lot like cancel culture to me.
Whoa, Timo, I think.
Whoa! You sexually harassed this guy. Let's beat you.
Yeah, I think there's
You're canceled.
I think
actually, this is why it's like 2017. In the current world, people are like, "Yeah, you sexually harass people. Yeah,
let's elect you president." Anyway.
Abram.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that it's interesting the way that we sort of look at this man. Like, I think that him being shirtless and the way he performs physically makes me think a lot about like his body, not only because he's in like fucking great shape, but because
he's a brick shithouse, this guy.
I think that the film is like having these very high society people encounter this very base person, And I think that is like is provocative insofar as that I think about an early scene in the film that I thought was going to materialize in a way that it didn't, when
Mhm.
Christian first is talking at the square and then he relinquishes the floor to the chef. And the
Yes.
chef comes out and the chef begins talking about the meal he's prepared. And then the just throngs of people come in and they all move past him and they don't listen to him until he really sharply raises his voice. And there's this confrontation between his art, the food, the preparation of the food, and its reception in these guests. And that's sort of the first time you see the crowd startled and shocked.
Mhm.
And so I think that there's a continuity there, but it's sort of overshadowed for me ultimately by, as you guys are saying, this transgression into assault.
Mhm.
And I think that it's interesting that you were mentioning, Tanner, there's this person who goes too far this way in a physical, interpersonal way, but
Mhm.
just abstract that for the point I'm making, and then is attacked by this mob. As you were saying, it is very much what happens to Christian.
Yeah.
Obviously, and it's they happen very close together in the narrative. Obviously, what Christian does is nowhere near as bad. If
Mhm.
anything, he's sort of like this bureaucratic failure point that goes
Yes.
down for this video being created. But nonetheless,
Because the reality is, the only reason that thing happened, people saw it, is because of him being inactive.
Mhm.
yeah, and so I think that the scene gets muddled for me because this like clash between the recipient and the artist, I really like what you guys are mentioning. I think it goes back to that scene earlier in the film, but I ultimately leave it more with the eye towards the cancellation of this guy's life
Mhm.
at like 20 guys pairs of fists. But what do you make then? And I think, Timo, this goes back to your point from early in the conversation about sort of the political attitudes of 2017 versus the political attitudes of now, how you read and interpret what happens to Christian and what happens in the press conference that ends the film before kind of the coda of him going back to try to find the boy.
Yeah, these equivalencies are all very odd because like you could even try and draw an equivalency between like just flatly like the people who break the social contract in the square. It's this guy. It's the guy with Tourette's. It is people. It's the little boy who like yells and yells and yells and knocks over the trash can in the 7-Eleven. Like that is a very shaky and odd equivalency to draw between all of these characters. And I'm not going to say that Ostlund is doing that because I don't know if that's entirely fair. But like if you're going to group them into a basket, then then those people are all grouped together essentially. But yeah, like
Disruptors.
even the point that you initially that you sort of ended on there, Abram, of being canceled or whatever. That yeah, I mean, he is like effectively without blame. Like he did not make the video. He inadvertently signed off on it because he was busy. He had too many other things going on in his life.
Yeah, he was busy tracking down that phone was what he was up to.
And he becomes basically the scapegoat for the entire scandal, and he gets cut loose and doesn't make a big fuss about it, frankly. He's like, yeah, fair enough, I gotta be the one to go, I suppose. Like, he accepts that responsibility that, frankly, is not his. He's not the one that made the video. I mean, the guys who, the marketing agency sends in a thing that's like, hey, we made the video, but it doesn't reflect the views of the museum. But he's the one there in front of all the cameras and the microphones, so he's the one that gets canned.
The kind of textual reading I take from it, because yes, this is how the scene seems like it's going. It seems like it's going this way, but then we actually take it to a different direction. And it's when Christian reveals what the PR firm had read. He's like given a piece of paper to read out loud furthermore.
Yeah.
And this what the reaction to that information isn't like, oh, like who was the PR company? Like who did this? They're like, oh,
no.
this is promo for some art. Oh, what about who's
you're
the
right,
artist?
you're right.
What's the artwork? When are we gonna get to see this? And then
We see the newspaper
tone
was like, this is the thing they wanted to make. Can you freaking believe this?
yeah, and
It's the best ad campaign you could ever ask for.
yeah, like it's this moment, it's this complete just 180 where they go, oh, this thing that we thought was bad is actually very good. Let's run with it. And that happens, I think, in Christian's eyes within the flip of a second, within the first question, whatever it is that is like not about who did wrong, who's at fault, they're like, once they realize that this is just viral marketing, and then it's all it's a little bit more okay. They can't like be like, no, we will uncancel you. You can have your job back. We can't do that because 2017. Think about it. No, that's not possible. But we can then become just like pass it by and let's think about this art. I don't exactly know what to make of that. The newspapers kind of hate it afterwards, but I do notice that they write about it and it's in the press and that
giant letters and like 3-page
all press is good press.
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing. Let's drop a truth nuke here.
Here we go.
Those kids did it. Think back to what in one of the first scenes with them. What they talk about is they think that the best art exhibits are ones wherein the journalist is allowed to find a perspective and share their perspective. And by the end of the film, they get the coverage they want. The worry in the minds of these kids, and they even say it, they're like, you're competing with war and terrorism and all this stuff for attention. And ultimately, they got the attention for the exhibit. And Timo, I like your point about how the scene turns, because we have the moment where the woman walks back out and says that there is a press pack of assets for the artist on the website, which is not relevant to the firing of Christian.
No.
What I think that the film is trying to illustrate, and if I can tie it back to our question from earlier about what is the role of the social contract in this film, I think that the point that this movie lands on in part is that to a point, you can transgress through the social contract, and there's actually benefit to be found in it.
Sure.
I think
if you are a powerful institution, if you have foundation, like if you have all this backup, you can do it. But if you're like a guy with Tourette's, you're on shaky footing, and
you're a kid
out.
Who feels you were wronged, you get pushed down the stairs.
And you're most definitely killed by that action.
That's right.
I mean, there is some.
He explodes, I think, at the bottom of the stairs.
Low constitution.
Right? We see 2 kids explode in this movie. The kid he drops at the bottom of the stairwell and explodes.
There is like something maybe interesting about this idea of like who can weaponize a transgression through the social contract.
Yeah, but
I think
that's by the way, that's the most interesting thing I think we've landed on this entire thing.
I think so.
When we kept, I'm like, that's kind of an interesting point.
Here I'm gonna hit. I found a nail and I'm gonna hit it with the hammer.
All right, here we go.
Hammer of Bravia.
Capitalism. I mean,
freaking capitalism, bro.
It's like, yeah, like that's okay. Yes, I think this is a good observation about the film, but I think again the film is not really doing much and is just pointing this out to us. And
Timo, I do have to push back though, because Sweden is a communist country, as we all know.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, famously.
Yeah, I mean, this interesting
run by Marx
point,
and Engels.
Like it would have been interesting, Timo, if like the coda on the film actually was like you just see like a line out the museum.
Just like if this was extremely if all these like maybe less than, or that the film is like, these are not great. This is not good that they're doing this. This is not good that this viral marketing campaign has been established. But then we see that it works. Then I think, yeah, we do have that kind of like...
It'd be a neater button on the film than what the actual ending is. And we should probably hit this and then wrap up if we can.
Yeah, sure.
That this ending is Christian is fired, goes to his daughter's dance recital, decides that he wants to like make right with this kid and this family, and goes through all the trouble. I mean, we get that shot of him like digging through the trash looking for the phone number. Goes to the apartment building, has this conversation with a neighbor who doesn't really know what's going on and says that the family moved. And then he and his daughters drive away in silence, and that's the end of the movie.
Yeah. Well, it reads to me as he gave up, that his desire to do right by the situation is nowhere near as great as his desire to be comfortable and to continue on the life that he knows, and that he knows that, yeah, he got fired from this job, but he also knows that in the interviews he can be like, well, it wasn't really my fault, and what, do you really think it was all that bad after all? And so he can just get another good job in this similar field. So
Yeah.
it's I think it's about his callousness, and that his kind of, ability to put that screen up in front of his face and just kind of not like see the people around him, or see what he's done to others. Tucker,
Who else gets another similar job in a similar field? Lydia Tarr. That's right.
That's true. Well, no, because the humiliation at the end of Tar is that she has to do it for Monster Hunter or whatever.
Yeah, but more people play Monster Hunter than go to the opera, so it's.
I'd like to see numbers on that.
Source. Grok, is this true?
I think there's also something to the fact that, I mean, the last shot of the movie is like from his daughter's perspective in the backseat looking at him, that these behaviors are learned, and there's almost like a sweet moment where his two daughters are like, we want to go with you to like meet this kid, and like, because they were there when he was like getting into a fight with him on the stairwell or whatever. So they also feel like they want to either make right or see their dad, stand up for what is right and morally good. And like the confusion that I guess that emotion is left on for them is like, well, he tried, but it was too late. So what do we feel about this, and what do we feel about him? I think that's kind of the note that is left on in that final shot. But
I gotta say, I don't even take that from it, because I just think that I see them sitting in the back seat, and I'm seeing the same framing as Michael sitting in the back seat of the Tesla when he's being harassed by the people outside the vehicle. So part of me is it as simple as the daughters are too like Christian, conditioned to be afraid of where they are. I don't take anything from the ending, to be honest with you. I don't know if that's a skill issue, but I just watch it and I'm like, I don't know what the fuck this is supposed to mean.
That's fair. It's just, I mean, we already pitched like the super neat ending to it, but yeah, this one is very abstracted, I would say.
And if I will comment on why this movie seems to largely not work for us on the whole, is that while it does contain these moments of scenes that are both textually and metatextually engaging because of their aggressive and boundary-breaking nature, most of the scenes in this movie are not that, including this ending. That is just sitting in the car, and I don't know what he's thinking, and I don't know what his daughters are thinking, and this interaction with this guy who lives in the apartment is not particularly interesting. It's kind of cyclical, and to Timo's point that maybe the kid is dead, but like none of us are totally sure about that. The movie ends and usually exists for the majority of its runtime in these scenes that are kind of just happening, and they're maybe kind of commentary, but not like specific enough for it to feel very interesting, and the characters aren't like.
If I might,
the movie fails at its own premise to be something that's interesting and engaging because of an aggressive nature, because most of it isn't interesting or aggressive.
And what I will add on that front is that the cinematography and our visual language of the film doesn't help, because we sit on these shots, we sit on these real long panning shots, we sit in these very still, maybe completely still, maybe just pushing in. I think the cinematography does not help the film be more interesting than it already is, and so we basically lose a leg of our tripod almost to like the things that make a movie interesting, because. Yeah, I'm gonna just be like not a fan of how this movie is shot. It's shot in this, it's like more austere shooting than Triangle of Sadness. Which is still very bare bones, very like, I think it's, Ostlund is not trying to communicate his thematic ideas through the framing of his shots for the most part. I think he's trying to show things in the shots that tell us what the themes are of the film, but the actual compositions of the shots themselves are like, I don't know, they're not all that interesting. And like you say, Abram, they're repeated in ways that would muddy the language, that would make the language have multiple definitions for the same word, and then we're like, well, what does it mean? I don't know.
Well, gentlemen.
Score time.
Score time.
Where's Triangle of Sadness? Maybe I just give him the same score.
I think we should just do Quest for the Ostlundist for a few of his movies.
Well, hey, maybe he's got a new movie coming out probably next year. It'll almost definitely premiere at the Cannes Film Festival. It could win. He could be the first ever filmmaker to have 3 Palme d'Ors.
with the premise of that one, I'll just shut down Quest
Yes,
before we review that.
for everyone
fucking movie on
who's
this
not
one.
in the know, that movie is
I'm not
The
in the know.
Entertainment System is Down is the title of the film, and it is about a plane where the entertainment system is down, and so all the people have to coexist with each other.
Oh
for
my
hours
god,
on end.
it's Exterminating Angel on an airplane.
Yes, it is. Though it does have some
No,
good screen.
they should call it Snakes on a Plane.
It does have some good actors. It's got Keanu and Kirsten
Keanu.
Dunst.
Oh, okay. Kirsten.
Oh, so no good actors.
Kirsten can act a storm.
What?
Did you say?
Kirsten Dunst can act up a storm, and I
True, she can. She's great.
I don't think that full sentence came out of your mouth the first time.
You said Kirsten Dunst didn't act a storm. I was like, oh,
Kirsten got a
he's
storm.
speaking Swedish.
I was trying. Yeah, I was trying to get to the punchline quicker, which is me being silent about the other actor.
I see. Well,
I don't like
you
either of them.
Keanu haters. You won't survive long. All right, you won't survive long. Okay,
His best role is Duke Kaboom.
That's a fair take. I think he's good. I
Keanu
think he's good
Reeves.
in that.
He's very good in movies that are set primarily on a mode of transportation.
Okay. Speed
Okay.
is one.
That's it. That's all you don't.
Oh,
do
I
anymore.
see.
It's fucking awesome.
Don't they spend like
All
most
right.
of the Matrix inside that ship flying around the underground?
The
I mean,
Nebuchadnezzar.
technically speaking, yes.
Like technically speaking, yeah.
Uh-huh.
Tanner,
Okay,
I'm waiting on your score, and then we
Okay.
can
Well,
find out.
I got to do the palm to tails here.
Oh, right.
gentlemen. Let's see here. So the 2017 Cannes Film Festival. These are all people and names we know. So that's why I wanted to give it a little space here. Jury president this year was a little guy named Pedro Almodovar. Ever heard of him? Other notable members of the jury were Chinese actress Fan Bingbing was on the jury. A little guy named
Whoa, from the 355?
Exactly. A little guy named Park Chan-wook was on the jury this year. Jessica Chastain, Will Smith, and Italian filmmaker Paolo Sorrentino was on the jury as well.
You know what's funny? Of that list of people, of which are mostly very acclaimed artistic directors, I think the only one who's actually like a friend of the show for Quest is Will Smith.
You're right. I think you're right, actually.
I mean,
We've never done a Sorrentino movie. We've never done an Almodovar
Never
movie.
done Park Chan-wook, unfortunately.
Nope.
Yeah,
We almost did.
that's because Will Smith is so much more prolific than those other people.
that's a good point. He's a much
He
better
bites-
artist.
He bites off more than he can chew, and then he chews it.
Now, how many of those names like Pretty Girls, and how many of them have made a song to that end?
How many of those people have been on Lyrical Lemonade?
Okay. Of the
One.
18 other films in competition, notable competitors were, so we could have been talking about any of these other films had the jury had their minds right. We could have been talking about Sofia Coppola's The Beguiled, BPM, Beats Per Minute by Robin Compillo, Good Time by Josh and Benny Safdie, The Killing of a Sacred Deer by Yorgos Lanthimos, The Meyerowitz Stories by Noah Baumbach, Okja by Bong Joon-ho, Wonderstruck by Todd Haynes, and You Were Never Really Here by Lynn Ramsey.
Yeah, those are
That's
Sure.
quite a good list
Two-
of films there.
Two movies I hate in that list.
Oh, really?
One movie I hate.
Sacred,
That's not true.
Killing of a Sacred Deer, and You Were Never Really Here.
Okay.
Not a fan of this.
Okay, which is the one that you don't like?
I don't like Good Time.
I see.
Ooh, I love Good Time, but that's
I know
not
you
a
do.
surprise.
Where's Triangle of Sadness? Okay, yeah, I can do this. This is
Triangle of Sadness, for the viewers' information, has a score of 5.8 and is at spot number 42. So, the square, where will it go? Let's find out. 3, 2, 1. Ooh, okay. Well, we have a number. It is not quite as high as 5.8. It's 5.3, so we're going to have to deal with a little bit of a tie here. Just one film to discuss. But the point breakdown is as follows. Abram and I both gave it a 4.8, then Tanner gave it a 5.3, and then Tucker at the top gave it a 6.2. So we have to decide the square or Men Without Wings. Now, that one we did not terribly
too long ago.
long ago.
Ooh,
I think I know my answer.
easily the square.
Yeah, I go the square. on
Okay.
The
this one.
square. I'm gonna pick Men Without Wings.
I love when it comes down to Tanner. I love watching his little face and his little squirm.
I mean, I did.
See,
give...
this is a social contract. You know, I love watching to push you into a scenario where you have to engage and like challenge yourself.
I gave Men Without Wings a higher score, and I could stand by that for the sake of truthfulness,
consistency.
But I'm gonna break the social contract. I'm gonna avoid a tie and say the square.
The square. Okay, there you have it.
Either way you went, you'd be engaged with the social contract.
Yeah.
Tucker, I think at this point, consistency is not a part of the social contract. Logical consistency is not.
Hell no. That went out the window in 2010 with the turn of the decade. So we figured it out. The square is going to go above Men Without Wings, spot number 45. Only 2 films separate Triangle of Sadness and The Square. So Square is at the bottom, 45, and then it's The Matai Affair, and then it's Dumbo, and then it's Triangle of Sadness.
There you go. Now, the reason if I can sort of justify my decision here for just a little bit, my thing is always, and this is a statement on Rueben Ostlund, because for the foreseeable future, we will not be talking about him again. We'll see. But my thing is always, like, am I being too hard on him? Like, in saying that he is pretentious, am I being pretentious? It's like, well, I'm smarter than Rueben Ostlund by saying that he thinks he's smarter than everybody else. So it's just the cyclical mind game that I get into. I was like, am I being truthful and honest with the artist and his work here? Like, it's just something that I wrestled with Triangle of Sadness, and again with this film.
I'm smarter than him.
Okay. Simple as that.
Yeah, what you really hate is when a guy looks down upon others and their understanding of the world. But nay, you are this man yourself and you love it.
Mm-hmm.
I just think I enjoyed watching Men Without Wings more in the moment to moment.
Fair point.
Remember
when that guy gets fucking thrown into that electrical breaker? That's
yeah, when he gets zapped. Yeah,
that's true. That is the most memorable moment of that movie. Mm-hmm. That is like a 4-frame moment of that movie. The ape scene in this movie
goes on for a lot longer.
Is that on steroids for 15 minutes?
especially the guy. He's on steroids.
Yeah, he's on steroids.
Huh.
Okay. I don't think so. I don't think his nipples were long enough.
Is that a critique that you have?
No, it's actually a point of praise. I think that is natural.
That's true. I don't want to cast any aspersions on Terry Notary. I think he's natty.
I don't care if he's on steroids or not. His nipples are just not long.
That's what Okay, Timo, we got that funky wheel pulled up. Oh, look, there it is.
I got that funky wheel right here. You ready?
Ooh, funky.
All right.
It's kind of like vomit.
Yes.
By the way, can I just raise a point? I have a question for Timo.
No.
Here.
Yeah.
It's an important question.
Okay.
Timo,
I'm back.
In the description of the Padre Padrone episode, it just simply reads as the following: Timo's on that nonsense pack this week, so watch out. do you have great stories of your time spent in the Sardinian sheeplands? We desperately need your comments.
Yeah.
I just thought that was interesting.
If you watch the beginning of that episode, you will agree with the description. I was
on that nonsense.
Timo,
I was spouting some nonsense at the start of that video.
I reined it in.
I reined it in.
Description.
I reined it in. You know, not every description.
I like a Timo description.
Needs to be about the movie. It needs to be about the things that matter in the video, aka us.
Tucker's about to break the social contract over your fucking head, Timo.
I was gonna say, I like a Timo description. Can you also at least include some actors' names and the director?
Maybe.
It can be 2 separate things. It can be the dumb shit first,
and, a list.
and then the other stuff underneath. But like, just include it.
Yes, that can be done. You know what also can be done? We can spin this freaking wheel.
What else can be done?
Wheel, what's your deal? Give us a movie that makes us squeal. Is it on digital or is it on reel? Wheel, what's your deal?
And the wheel's deal is number 23.
Oh, 23, right in the midst of the remaining films, kind of smack dab in the middle, actually. This is going to land us in 1973, the swinging 70s.
Swinging.
Whoa.
This is this is an American film that won in 1973. It's got some American stars in it,
Okay.
such as Dorothy Tristan, and then a couple guys that we might have heard of, a couple guys we might have covered already, some friends of the show, Al Pacino and Gene Hackman. This is a film directed by Jerry Schatzberg. It is the film Scarecrow.
Scarecrow. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know much about this one.
A quick one-sentence summary here. Two drifters bum around, visit earthy women, and discuss opening a car wash in Pittsburgh.
Oh, Pittsburgh. I
Oh,
went there
Jesus.
somewhat recently, so
Okay.
I'll be able to compare and contrast 70s to now.
Sounds like a hangout movie. There's two guys
hangout.
bumming around, you know?
Visit
what
earthly women.
Yeah, what does that mean? Earthly women. Or
Oh,
not,
hey,
not,
what-
earth,
what would I
not
find out?
earthly, earthy.
Earth E?
Earthy.
Oh, earthy.
Hippie style, maybe?
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, you're just like us. You're gonna have to stick around until next week when
Mhm.
all will be revealed, as we'll have watched the film and we'll know exactly what that means.
Yes.
So
Sorry,
go ahead, Abe.
Oh, that's okay. Sorry, I'm just on Pinterest looking at earthy girl aesthetic right now.
Oh, okay. I expect some high quality reporting from you, Mr. Journalist, next time on the show about this Pinterest aesthetic.
Mhm.
That'll have to do it from us. Thanks for sticking around through this one. Had fun talking about the square with you guys. Old Ruben, either make a better movie so that it wins Palme d'Or and we can talk about a truly excellent skewer, because I believe he's got it. I believe he's got it in him.
Sure, yeah.
He's just got to open that third eye. He's got to open his woke meter and he'll get it. He'll find it.
Yeah. Yeah, man.
And we'll be here for it. We'll be here. We'll be ready to give all the praise in the world to the wokest Rueben Ostlund movie to
Hey, team,
grace
wrap
the
up the
silver screen.
episode. Wrap up the episode.
Let's get out of here. You know what I say. We're going to do Scarecrow next week. Al Pacino and Gene Hackman. Nothing more from me. Stay cool. Keep warm. Peace.